In this video, we're going to be putting together the job detail page that applicants can go to see more information about an individual job post. So the idea is that they'll do a search for jobs and they'll click on this button here to view additional details. And that will take them to a separate page where we can now expand on everything. We can have much more information. The user will be able to apply from here as well. They'll still be able to save the job to their saved list. But this way, you'll be able to see how to pass data from one page, so here on our applicant dashboard page, specifically within the search group, over to another page, right? Passing data between pages is a very core concept in Bubble, and this is a great use case for it. This is also going to allow us to work with a dynamic page. So this job detail page is going to have a type of content set to it. So let's dive into it so that you can see how all of this will come together. So the first thing I want to do on this new blank page here is give it a type of content of job post. That way, from my search page or anywhere else I may navigate to that detail page, I can pass data to it. So I'm going to go back here. Again, we're in our applicant dashboard within the search group, and I'm going to hook up a workflow here for this view details button. So when this button is clicked, let me put it inside of my search workflow folder, just so that you can see we're in that section here. So when this is clicked, we're going to navigate the user away from this page, right? We're going to go to the other page, which is our job detail page, and you'll see that the data to send is required. That is because this page has a type of content set to it. So this page is now expecting to receive a job post record. So I need to pass some data to it, and in this case, it's going to be the parent group's job post. The parent group being the container of my view details button. So if we go back to the design, the parent group of this button is this group right here, right? It contains all of these items, which its data source is the current cell's job post. So that information is just being passed in from the cell all the way into the group, and that way the button itself can also reference that same job post. So now that we pass data over to this page, we can display information about that specific post. I'm going to add a text to my page. We're going to restyle it so that it's a nice big heading. Let's say heading number 2 here. Actually, let's make it bigger than that. Let's do heading number 1. And here in the dynamic data, now I have access to the current page's job post. The current page's job post. This is the record that is sent to this page. You know, this is really the equivalent of passing data to a group or a pop-up. We're just doing it at a page level. Okay, so now I can reference the current page job post and any of the fields there. In this case, let's go to the title of the job post. I'm going to adjust some of my responsive settings on this page here so that we can start off with some good layouts. So at the page level, I'm going to change the layout to a column structure. Okay, and I'm going to have some gap spacing. Let's do 20 pixels of gap spacing. I'm going to go to this text, center it, fix up the widths and heights. So no fixed width, will remove the minimum and give it a fit to content width, right? So it's just around the boundaries of that width, and then no minimum height as well. So really the boundaries of this element is just surrounding the content. And I will push it down just a little bit. Actually, you know what I'll do is add a header here for this job detail page. So I'm going to go back to the applicant, copy this header that I have here. And I am going to remove some of these elements. I'm going to make the header on my detail page a little bit more minimal. So I'm just going to copy this so I have a starting point and add that there. So you'll see that it popped up after my title. So I'm going to move it into the previous position so it's at the top. And I'm going to remove these navigation elements, which really only apply to the dashboard. So this is just a basic header here. So I could still have workflows so that this text takes the user back to the index, or clicking on their email address takes them back to their user settings in their dashboard. This page can be accessible to both company users and applicants, right? We can have many conditions here to route them to the appropriate place. But for now, this is really just kind of a way to have a heading for our page, and that way it's more of a frame and it's consistent with the rest of the application. So here we have our dynamic expression to display the job post title. So if I preview, let's run this dashboard here so we can see different job posts being passed to the page. I'm just going to run as our applicant Joseph here. And we'll open up one of our job posts from our search. Okay, so let's go to the web developer. If I go to view details, it's going to navigate me to this page, right? My new job detail page, and then we can see the unique ID of that job post in the URL, and I can see the web developer title there. So if I go back to another job post, so let's go to this demo job post, hit view details, then you can see the text changing. So it's one page, but I'm dynamically passing different data to it, so it's kind of like a template that I'm setting up. So let's fill this out a little bit more so that the user can do a bit more here and see more information. I'm going to add a couple more texts. I'm going to make this a bit smaller here. Let's do maybe just the body styling, and we'll have this display the company for the job post. So this will be the current page job post company name. And let's do another one. Let's say we show the description of the job. Okay, so we'll show the job post description like this. And how about the start date for the position? Start date, and we'll go to the current page job post start date like that. I can also format this date because dates come with times as well, and we might want to strip out the time so that really the user's only seeing the date. Maybe the time is not as critical here. So we're going to format this to display it in this way and really remove the time component there. Right, so just some basic, information about that job post. But this, because we have a whole page dedicated to this, we can have more information if we need. Maybe if there's like a list of qualifications, a larger description as opposed to a summary. This is the place to put those in there. All right, the next thing I'm going to do is add a group to this page so that we have a clear call to action for the user to apply to this job. So I'll give this a responsive layout as well. It's going to be a column. It'll be centered on the page. Let's give it a name here, group application. And I'm going to give it a background color just to, again, call it out so that the user can very easily see this is where they need to go to take some kind of an action. We'll give it a background color like that. And inside, I'm going to have an instruction text. So I'm going to copy this title here. I'll remove the style, make it a little bit smaller. Doesn't need to be as large, and we will change out the content here. We'll say, please upload your resume to apply. Okay, and I do want to add some padding to this group so that these texts aren't touching the very top borders. So I'll go to the layout for the group itself, and I think I'm going to add padding all the way around. So let's do 10 pixels, actually let's do 20. I'm just going to copy that and paste, paste, paste like that. Okay, so now we have some bumpers there for any content that we add inside. So here's our instruction text. I'm going to add a file uploader to this group. Okay, so this is similar to the application process we had in the pop-up back on the applicant's dashboard, but we're allowing them to do the same thing here as well, just for convenience. Okay, so I've centered the file uploader. I'm going to make sure that this group has some gap spacing so that these items are spread out just a little bit. And I'm going to have my action buttons for the user. So again, just like on their dashboard, they can save their application as a draft or go ahead and submit it. And you know what? Since I know that these buttons are already set to go, I'm going to actually go to the applicant dashboard and just copy them from there. So what I mean by they're set to go is that they're already hooked up here in this pop-up. So I'm actually going to take this entire group, right-click, copy with workflows, head over to my other page here, and select my group, right-click, paste with workflows. That's a nice, quick way to carry over that those designs and also the workflows with them. Now I do have to check and make sure that if anything needs to be reconnected, that those are addressed. So first of all, this group had a data source that was tied to the job post because in this context, it needed to know which job post to work with. However, this entire page is referencing one job post. So wherever we were previously referencing group data sources, we can just go directly to the page in this case. So I'm actually just going to clear this out, clear this out. This is just a container to hold our buttons. All right, now I'm going to go into the workflows to make sure that everything is connected properly here. So when we click on Save Draft, we had it set up to create a new application. You see a few things have been disconnected. So the company is going to pull from the current page job posts company. The job post itself is going to be the current page job post, and the resume is going to come from the file uploader that we have on this page. Right, so just a couple of things to reconnect, but I still wanted to set it as a draft, and the applicant is still the current user. I can still reset inputs. There's no pop-up to hide, so it's kind of holding on to that because I copied it from the previous page, but I'm going to delete this because that's not relevant here. And we have an alert message. However, I don't have the alert message designed on my my detail page. Right, this is a brand new page. Okay, and so it thinks that I do because I copied it over from this page, but what I'm going to do instead is take the alert from here and copy this and go into my detail page and paste this in here as well. Right, so I'm taking advantage of designs and workflows that I've already put together and copying and pasting wherever it makes sense to, so that I don't have to go through all of the same steps all over again. And I want to show you, you know, that those things are available to you. Now, in some cases, just rebuilding them from scratch might make more sense, especially if they need to look differently or if there are other things involved in the workflows. You certainly don't want to create extra work for yourself if you're going to copy and paste and just have to reconnect absolutely everything. In my case, I think it was worth copying and pasting and do the final relinking to clean them up so that they make sense on this page. So this alert, I'm going to change the default message to say your application has been submitted, like this. And so in the workflow, when we go to show that message, I don't need to change the message here. I just want it to show the default. Now let's jump over to the submit application button. Yes, and this is going to create the new application. Same thing, all of these three that are already there, those work just as well. That's exactly what we want, but I just need to reconnect these ones in red. So I want the current page job post company, the current page job post here, and then my file uploader for that resume. We do want to reset inputs. Again, we don't have a pop-up to hide, and then I'm going to show the same alert message. Oh, you know what I just realized? For the save draft, the message does need to change. So for the submit, we want to see the default where I said your application has been submitted, but for the draft, we haven't actually submitted it yet. So I am going to change the alert message and keep this here. I wasn't actually reading it, so that makes more sense to me now. Okay, so let's see, what else are we missing here? You know, what I'd like to show here is a way to let the user know that they've already applied in case they come back to this detail page after submitting it. So what we can do is have two different groups. Right, if I copy and paste this, one group can be for submitting application, right? Submit application. The other group here can be for confirmation, right? To show them that they've already applied, and you know, generally that they can just go back to their dashboard to view their list of applications from there. If they want to withdraw it, they can do that there. But this is just going to say, hey, your application is submitted. There's nothing left for you to do here, and we certainly don't want you to submit a duplicate. So I'm just going to change the background color of this one a little bit so that we can keep them apart. And this text is going to say, you have applied to this job, like this. And I'm going to remove the uploader. One thing that we could have here, I'm going to move this button out and get rid of, go back to the elements tree here. Let's get rid of this group as well. One thing I'm going to do is have a way for them to withdraw from here, since that really is the only action that they can take after they've submitted. So we'll change the layout style, or the appearance style, to this danger button, and I'll have the height of this group be a little bit shorter. Let's say, let's see, do I have, let's go to, yeah, let's change the height to fit to content, just like that, and have this centered. Okay, and I'm going to change the background color just a little bit so it's not as strong of a green, right? So that red stands out more. Okay, so this button here is going to trigger a workflow to go find the application and change the status to withdrawn, right? So we want to make a change to an application that would already exist. So we need to go find it. We're going to search for applications where the applicant equals the current user and the job post is the current page job post. And there should only be one application, at least in the way that I'm approaching this, this functionality. I only want one application. So we'll say the first one, if we want to allow for multiple applications, then I can be more specific with this and say, I'm looking for the application for this job post that has actually been submitted. Okay, and what I'm wanting to change is that status now to withdrawn. All right, and then from there, we can show the alert message to say your application has been withdrawn, like that. Okay, so here in our groups, we only want one of these to show at a time. We don't want to see both of these at the same time. So what I'm going to do is set them both to be hidden by default. I'm going to turn this off. I'm going to have this collapse when hidden so that we don't have a bunch of extra white space. And same thing here for the green group. I'm going to hide it by default when the page is loaded and then collapse it when it's hidden. Okay, and then add conditions to determine when these should be visible. So in the condition for this group here, we only want this to show, right? We want this to become visible if there is no application that has been submitted for this job for this user. Right, so we'll do a similar search, searching for applications for this applicant, right, current user, for this particular job, which is the current page job post, where the status equals submitted. So we're looking for that application. If we come up with 0 results, okay, I'm going to count it up, and if we come up with 0 results, then I want this group to be visible so that we can submit our application. And I'll do the opposite for the other groups. I'm just going to right-click this condition, copy it, go to this group, right-click, and paste. And the opposite here, if we find anything greater than 0, if we find at least one application that has been submitted, then we want to show the user that we've already applied to the job, and all they can do at this point is withdraw. All right, so I'm going to go back to my dashboard. Remember, I'm running as an applicant here, Joey, and I'm going to preview, I'm going to look at this demo job post, which I believe I do have an application for. If I go to my applications here, I can see demo job post is there. We should actually make a modification to this button so that it's clear to the user that they have already applied. We'll do that in a moment here. So let's view the details so that we can go back to this page now that more information has been designed. Right, here's the title, the company, the description, and there's a start date. And so this group is the one that is visible. I've applied to the job, and all I can do from here is withdraw. So if I click this button, I'm changing the status to withdrawn. You see my alert message shows up, and now this group becomes visible. So I could submit again, right? I could create a new application with a new resume and save as a draft or submit it. So I'm going to save as a draft from here, right? Now at this point, I don't have any indication that I have created a draft, so I could add a third group to say something like, you have an application in progress, click here to change your resume if you need, or click here to just go ahead and submit it, right? So we can build off of the same concept that I had here with another group with specific conditions, looking for applications for this job post and user combination, specifically with the draft status, to offer, only the option to submit, or maybe even to delete the draft or to change their resume. Lots of things we can do there. Let's say I want to submit a new application. I'll click on this, and specifically because I've submitted it, now I go over to this group here. All right, and if I head back over to my dashboard, I should have a couple applications for this particular job post, right? So if I select the demo job post, I have 3 of them. One was withdrawn, one is in a draft, one was submitted. Okay, so this is how we can filter all of these and allow the user to work with multiple records if needed. Okay, now let's go back to the search so that we can modify the look and functionality of the apply to job button if they have already applied to the job. So we're going to use a very similar search here on the conditions for this button. We'll say searching for, we're going to search for jobs, again, where not job post, we want to search for applications, where the applicant is the current user. The job post in this case is going to refer to the parent group's job post because we're inside of a repeating group cell, and this container of this button is inside of the cell, and where the status equals submitted. Okay, and if that count again is greater than 0, then we can change the appearance properties of the button. So I could make this not clickable and change the text to say applied, like that. And I can change the background color to, you know, the same purple but kind of faded out, right? I can either lower the transparency. Let's toggle this on so you can see what it looks like. I can lower the transparency like that, or I could keep the transparency, or, you know, have it fully opaque, not transparent whatsoever, but change the color, you know, so that it's faded out like this. Just depends on what look you're going for. And that way I can't click on it again. I could also change the text to say withdraw and keep it clickable and use conditional workflows so that if we have an application, the workflow is not going to open up the application pop-up, right, like it's doing now. Instead, it's just going to change the status to withdraw. So again, lots of different ways where you can split people out into different routes with your conditions based on the statuses of these records and just the values that are saved to them. So I'm going to refresh the page here so that we can see all of Joey's applications directly from the search, right? So we can see that Joey's applied to web developer, to demo job post. I don't know if there are any other ones. It might be just those two. Right, and if I go to, let's say, associate software engineer, right now I can open this if I submit application, so now this has changed. Or I can go directly to view the details and apply from there like I showed you earlier. The last thing that I want to go over here is just have a very easy way to save the job post as a favorite, just like we could in the search. So I'm going to use a button for this, just to show you a different way to do it instead of an icon, right? So I'll have the button, how about right there below all of our details, but above the groups. And we can have this say, save to favorites, like this. You know, we can change our styling if we want. And when this is clicked, we'll make a change to the current user. Change the current user. And the field that we're changing about the current user is the saved jobs list. So this is the same thing that we were doing with the bookmarks. If we click on this button, we're going to add the current page job to the list of saved jobs. But we only want to do this if the job isn't currently there. So I'm going to add a condition to this button here. If the current user's saved job doesn't contain the current page job post, then we'll add it. Otherwise, we're going to do the opposite. I'm going to copy this and paste it, and just swap reverse the operator here. If my saved jobs list does contain it when I click on this, then that means I want to remove it. Okay, I'm going to remove it from there. And I can change the appearance of this button. Okay, so my conditional, again, I can say if the current user's saved job contains the current page job post, then my text will change to remove from favorites, like that. And maybe we'll change the background color as well, just to make it a little bit more clear that it currently is set to their favorites, like this. So I will refresh this page again so that we can view one of Joey's favorites and see how we can toggle that button back and forth. So I'll go to web developer here, right? So remove from favorites. If I click on that, now it goes to save to favorites. All right, and I can toggle back and forth. All it's doing is it's adding the page's job post to my list of favorites. So that's our job detail page. Hopefully this is helpful to see how you can pass data from one page to another, basically giving this page a data source so you can fill in all the information here, have more room to display more information, still make it very interactive, just like if we were in our dashboard. But that way we can leverage the database from this separate page and still see things reflected in other areas like our user account records, our applications list, and both applicants and company users can see all these things because, again, all of this is data powered. It's all very data driven. It's just the different places that we're displaying all of this in the specific layouts to make it easy for the user to move through the entire application process. All right, everyone, happy building.